Go ahead.
My name is John Small. I'm the chairman of ResortCom International, a San Diego-based resort management and financial services company. Ali has asked me to talk a little bit about myself, so I think the first thing I wanted to talk about was when I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Africa, and kind of what motivated it and why I did it. Basically, it's kind of like everybody sits around a bar one night and has 1,500 drinks and wonder what great thing they should be doing next. And it just so happened that some of us were running a marathon. And so, well, what are we going to do after the marathon came the question. And so I said, well, why don't we climb Kilimanjaro? And there were about 25 people in the room at the same time, with all being from the same company. And so everybody was in. So we all kind of got together the next day and said, okay, let's get this organized. So as we got further down the road and we had to run the marathon and we had to practice, following the marathon for the eventuality of climbing Kilimanjaro, which is the tallest mountain in Africa, what's referred to as the rooftop of Africa. We found out that Kilimanjaro is the tallest freestanding mountain in the world. In other words, it just kind of went from the plains where there were elephant or animals grazing all the way to the top, which is about 19,700 plus feet. So at the end of the day, I think there were 12 of us who were pretty hardcore. We had a trial run up Mount Whitney, which was disastrous for a couple people who discovered that they were prone to altitude sickness and they had to drop out. For those that made the climb, I think there were 8 of us, 6 of us, and so we planned a trip to Africa. We took a flight to London, spent the day in London in a cab, driving around London, seeing as much as we could see before we got on a night flight to Nairobi. Got to Nairobi, took a hopper down to Mombasa, spent a couple nights in Mombasa, and then took a small plane from Mombasa, which is in Kenya, down to Kilimanjaro Airport, which is in Tanzania. And we went to our hotel, we checked in, and we met our guides, and the next morning we were ready to climb Kilimanjaro. So the first day was kind of casual, and we were all wearing like shorts and t-shirts and baseball hats. The weather was quite tropical. I think we were probably at about 6,000 feet. Then the first evening we came to a camp. We hiked for about 6 or 7 hours. Came to a camp, and as we were coming into the camp, we saw people coming down who had climbed Kilimanjaro, and they were truly nasty looking. They had not bathed, they had not shaved, they had not had running water for probably many days, and we kind of looked at each other and thought,
we're in trouble.
Are we going to look like that? And I guess the answer was yes, as the story unfolds. So first night we stayed at the first camp. It was at about, probably about 10,000 feet. Then the second day we went up to another camp, hiking up to about 13,000 feet. And it just so happened that this camp was above the clouds. So when we woke up in the morning, there was a kind of a valley of clouds. So we felt like we were above the earth practically. So it's pretty spiritual to be that far up. Then the third day we climbed up to a peak called Manyara Peak, which was about 15,000 feet. And then we came back down and we went to the 13,000 foot camp and kind of acclimated some more. And that was the purpose of that little extra 2,000 feet, to see if we could acclimate and not get altitude poisoning. So next day up to the camp called Kibu Camp, and that is at about 15,500, 15,600 feet. We arrived at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and we were, dressed fairly warm, because at that altitude it was quite cold. And we were told by our guides that we needed to rest, that we needed to go to sleep, try to take a nap, eat some soup, some crackers, and just not have anything in your stomach, and that the guides would come for us at about 10 p.m. So we tried to sleep. One fellow in our party had sleep apnea. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't lay down. He kept waking up with a horrible scream, and so it was pretty nerve-wracking. And the room we were in were full of about 20 other people who were also going up in different groups, different nationalities from different countries. And that's another thing we saw, is people from all over the world, every shape, every form, every color, every creed, every religion, all with one goal in mind, is to climb this stupid mountain. So, sure enough, at 10 o'clock, the guides came to get us, and we were to start our climb at 11 p.m. We were dressed in the same kind of gear if you were going to ski in Mammoth in the winter. So we were in full cold weather outfit, hats, gloves, parkas, insulated pants, long underwear, and we had water, we had flashlights, we had extra batteries, and we had miner's lamps attached to our foreheads, around our caps. So off we went, up the side of Kilimanjaro at 11 o'clock at night. We were the first group out. There were 6 of us, and we were quite a ways ahead of the next group. At this point in the mountain, which is divided roughly into like fourths, the summit part, we ran into a tremendous amount of volcanic ash. So you would take a step forward or 2 steps forward and slide back a half a step or a step. So it's really difficult going up, and you didn't go straight up the side of the mountain. You kind of traversed it, so a little to the right and then back to the left and then to the right, kind of dog-legging your way up this side of this mountain. It was very, very strenuous, particularly at the altitude, because there's not much air at that altitude. And we came upon a cave where the first person to climb Kilimanjaro, had spent the night, and it was quite a famous place. And our guide said, okay, now we are going to do the switchbacks, which we thought we were in the switchbacks. No, the switchbacks are coming. Switchbacks are very, very steep and very, left and right and kind of curving up the mountain. And at that stage, 2 in our party, one lady who was quite small, probably only about 5 feet tall, was really having trouble keeping up. And we had 3 guides. So at that stage, the party split into 2 groups. The couple with the real tiny lady, because she didn't have the strength or the stride to be able to keep up with us, so they dropped behind. Then 4 of us continued up through the switchbacks, and the guide was having trouble with one lady in our group who was really struggling breathing, and she was complaining, and go slow, we're going too fast, and I'm tired and I'm hungry. And finally the guide stopped her and in front of all of us said, Madam, where do you think you are? And she said, oh, I know I'm climbing Kilimanjaro, but I'm just so tired, we need to go slower. He said, Madam, this is all on a schedule, and if we don't stay to the schedule, we won't get to the summit by a certain time. Well, I don't know if I can do it, this woman said. So the guide turned to all of us and he said, this is not Central Park, New York City. This is the roof of Africa. This is a serious event, and if one person can't make it, all 4 of us have to turn back, because we don't have enough guides to allow the group to split one more time. So the guide said, young lady, would you want to continue? And she said, okay, well, I'll go, but you have to help me. So he literally dragged her by the arm up the side of the mountain. So then we came to this part, and the guide said, okay, now we're coming to the really hard part. Well, we thought, oh my God.
How much harder can it get?
Of course, it's pitch black, and you look back behind you, you can see hundreds of little lamps coming up the mountain, because we were the first group. So you saw how far ahead we were of everybody else. pretty inspiring. But the rocks were where we had to actually use our climbing tools and had to use poles and to climb boulders. You'd climb a boulder, and then you'd climb another boulder, and you'd go up and up and up and up. And we came to this area that when you looked up, it was actually frightening because it was dark. You couldn't see too much, but by the moonlight, you could see that it was still a long way to go. And suddenly, just by concentrating and working our way up, we came to this ledge, and we kind of, flopped over the side, and there was a sign that said Gilmore's Peak. And that happened to be the place in an article that all of us had read, which was written by Michael Crichton, the author, who on a lark one day decided to climb Kilimanjaro with his girlfriend. And in the story that he wrote, and it's in his writings on travel, he used to write a lot about travel, that he, in this event, had every piece of clothing he had with him on his body. He was freezing, and he got to Gilman's Point, and he couldn't get any further. So we knew we had reached a kind of a crossroads, but it was still dark. At that stage, the flashlights for the guides, the batteries stopped because of the cold weather.
I might have to stop you.